Good morning. Welcome to Koilel Baker. This week, this Shabbos is Rosh Chodesh. It's a new month, the month of Nisan, when we celebrate Pesach. It's the Shabbos of Parshas Tazria, of course, and it's called Parshas HaChodesh because we read a special portion in preparation for Pesach. And because of that, we take out 3 Sifrei Torah in Shul, 3 scrolls, which is a very rare occasion. And it's a special time. We take out 3 and we read from all 3. It's a joyous time and it's an auspicious time to pray. It says when the Aron Kodesh, when the Ark is opened, on a week that you take out all 3 Sifrei Torah, the Aron Kodesh, the Ark, the doors that are opening in the Ark are compared to the gates of heaven that are opening. And when you open the Ark on a week that you take out 3 Sifrei Torah, like this Shabbos, the special gates of heaven are open and our prayers go directly on high. It's an auspicious time to pray, specifically when the doors to the Ark are being opened to take out all 3 Sifrei Torah, which is this week. There was once a fellow in Poland who was producing, a Jewish guy, he was producing alcohol, vodka, and out of potatoes, and that's what he did to make a living. He would travel around and sell this vodka to different people. The Pesach season was especially profitable for him because you can't really use, you really can't use grain vodka on Pesach. It's chametz. So during the Pesach season, he would travel a lot, and he made, most of his money was around Pesach. One year, he's traveling from one country to the next, and as he crosses the border, he finds that the guards are looking at him and sizing him up, and looking at his wagon, and looking at the barrels, and they pull him aside. And they said, "Sir, you can't travel. You can't take these barrels of vodka because you don't have permits, and you don't have this type of licensing and that type of permission. And we're sorry, but it's not doable. You can't do it." He is beside himself. This is all his merchandise. If he doesn't sell this, he's not going to have money, not for Pesach, not for the rest of the year. He borrowed money to produce these barrels of vodka, and now he's stuck. So he runs to the great tzaddik, Rabbi Elimelech of Lizhensk, great tzaddik, and he turns to him and he starts to cry. He says, "Rebbe, I'm ruined. I mean, all my barrels are sitting in the customs office, and I have no way to get out of it. I may even get in trouble. I'm a financial mess. What am I going to do?" The Rebbe looks at him, and Rabbi Elimelech says, "Don't worry. Go back to the border and tell them that you're not sure what this whole mix-up is about, because it's not vodka, it's water." So he goes to the border. He comes to the officer. He says, "Regarding those barrels, they confiscated it from me, and I'm supposed to produce permits and things, and they have questions. I don't know what the problem is. It's not vodka." So, what do you mean it's not vodka? It's barrel. You're schlepping barrels of water? He said, "I'm telling you, taste it." And they took a cup, and they opened the barrel, and the guy took a drink, and it was water. So he's amazed. The guy says, "Okay, sorry about that." He lets him go. And this fellow is taking his wagon with all of his barrels, and he runs to Rabbi Elimelech, and he says, "Rebbe, I'm in financial ruin. I can't sell water. What am I going to do now? All my barrels are water." He says, "Don't worry. Taste a little bit. You'll see it's vodka." And that's what he did. He took a little water and it was vodka. And he was able to sell, and he was able to provide, and he was able to pay back his debts, and everything was wonderful. When we read about Parshas HaChodesh, the special reading that we have for this week, we're going to read about, the reason why we do this is because we're reading about the laws of the Pesach offering. We're getting ready for Pesach, and there's an instruction from God to Moshe Rabbeinu, where Hashem tells Moshe, "I want every Jew to take a sheep as a family, as a group, and prepare it, and this is going to be a Pesach offering." And in preparation for Pesach for ourselves, we also read about this. And of course, it has the laws of Pesach in it, that you can't eat leavened bread, you can't eat chametz for 7 days, or 8 days, and we have to eat matzah and have a seder and so on. But the very beginning of this section begins and tells us, "Hachodesh hazeh lochem reish chodashim," which means this month, the month of Nisan, is going to be for you the head of the months, which is very strange. Because we know that Rosh Hashanah, as it says in the Torah, the new year is in Tishrei. Right? That's when we celebrate the new year. Why are we saying now that this is month number 1 when it comes to the month of Nisan? Now, the truth is, there's 2 ways to look at the year. In the Jewish calendar, we have 2 ways of counting. On the one hand, Rosh Hashanah is the beginning because it's the new year. And on the other hand, Nisan is the first because it's the first month. If you look in Torah, where it says clearly, for example, about Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the 7th month because we count our months from Nisan. Nisan is the first month. So you have these kind of 2 New Years. What are the difference between these 2 New Years? Rosh Hashanah is a seasonal New Year. That's when it begins, right? We plant just before Rosh Hashanah. That's the New Year for planting. And then when you get closer to Pesach, we're harvesting the barley. And then when you get to Shavuos and it's closer to summer, you're harvesting the wheat. And then you're coming again into the season. So you go through the seasons where you start with the planting, then the raining, and then the harvesting certain grains and other grains. And then you get again to the summer. So this is a process of seasons. And the way God created the world, as he said after the flood with Noach, that he's not going to change this anymore. And there's seasons in the world, how things operate. So at that point, Hashem created a system, and we recognize the system by starting the new year from Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Nisan is a different type of new year, and that's a new year of miracles. It's not a natural cycle where there's seasons and things happen. This is a time when there's Nisim, when there's miracles. The greatest miracle that happened to us as a nation happened in the month of Nisan. Nisan, by definition, is from the same root word as Nes, which means miracle. Because we have a great miracle that happened. We got out of Egypt. No slave ever escaped Mitzrayim. Here you have an entire nation. And frankly, it started with supernatural type of punishments, the 10 plagues. And then you have going out of Mitzrayim. And then you have the splitting of the sea. It's a very miraculous time. So the beginning of miracles starts in the month of Nisan. So if you want to categorize it the following way, it makes a lot of sense that the month of Tishrei is the beginning of the natural cycle of things, and the month of Nisan is the beginning of a supernatural cycle of things. In life, we have several aspects of how we see things transpiring in our lives. Certain times in life, you see things that are very natural. Things make sense. This is how it works. We have you plant, you put seeds in the ground. Nature is that it rains certain seasons. If you put the right seed in the right soil, it's going to grow. You cultivate it. You don't see how Hashem is involved necessarily in producing this fruit, this flower, this grain, whatever it may be, because there's rules of nature. You follow these rules of nature, and it works out. Then you have a rule of nature where you see, wow, it really worked out. Things fell into place. It wasn't such a given, okay? So it's not that I planted in the right place at the right time and therefore I got some kind of results. A person says, this worked out perfectly. I happened to meet the right person at the right time, in the right place, and he was able and I was able, and it was a miracle. Was it really a miracle? You were working with nature, but the way you were doing it was that you notice that something is beyond. In other words, the fact that everything lined up and everything worked out is amazing. So you see there's some kind of miracle within this nature. So number one is nature. Number two is seeing what's called in Chassidus Hashgacha Pratis, divine providence, where you recognize that Hashem's hand is with you and he's overseeing it and he's guiding you and he's helping you end up in certain places and having certain opportunities and things are going your way. You could trace it back and say, this was just nature. Or God forbid, call it a coincidence, which we never do. But it's playing with nature, within the rules of nature. And then you have a level of a miracle. Now, when it comes to miracles, you also have 2 levels of miracles. You have miracles where it's miraculous, there's no question, but it's working with the system of the world, the way the world runs. I'll give you an example. The story of Purim, which we just celebrated. Was it a miracle? Of course it was a miracle. There was an unprecedented decree to wipe out all the Jewish people, men, women, and children, on the same day. We were saved. It's a miracle. We have a holiday to celebrate. However, if you look at the details of the miracle, they were pretty natural. The queen happened to be Jewish. She spoke to her husband. Mordechai, the head of the Sanhedrin, was part of the government on some level. Okay, he was hanging around the palace. He was involved. So of course things worked out. You could look back and say, it is a miracle, obviously. However, it's also a miracle that's working in nature. But then you have a real miracle where nobody could argue. That's like splitting of the sea, going out of Egypt. What's going to say? That somehow it managed to work out that way. We managed to be in the right place at the right time. This is the difference between the month of Tishrei and the month of Nisan. Tishrei is the beginning where we know everything is God. He created the world. He makes everything work, right? Even if you do everything according to nature, not necessarily is going to work out. And Hashem makes it happen. But you could still trace it back and say, these are the processes and these are the rules and this is how it works, right? You plant, you water, you harvest, you sell, you have, right? You go through the steps, it'll work out. Now, we understand that it's God, that a human can't do that on his own, but it seems that way. But then you move on and you see, there's miracles. Or you see there's divine providence in my life. Things are working out. Then you realize there's miracles. Then you realize there's supernatural miracles. So when it comes to Nisan, what we're really recognizing in this month is the supernatural miracles. The fact that even in our lives, when we're working with nature, it's also miracles. And it's a component that we have to focus on and remember and zero in that Hashem's hand is with us and God is guiding us. He's helping us, even in those areas where it doesn't seem to be so apparent. It's actually greater when it's not apparent. Because when Hashem breaks the rules of nature and he comes in and he splits the sea, that's spirituality destroying physicality. It's negating rules of nature, which is not a problem. God could do anything, but it's much greater when he works with nature, when he works with the system that he set up, and in that system it works out. So the reason why Nisan is the first month and the concept of why we're celebrating this as the Reish HaChadashim, Rishon Hu Lachem L'Chadshei Hashanah, it's the first of the months, is because we're trying to get the power, the ability, the inspiration that throughout the year, even when things are not miraculous, let's start off in a miraculous way, which will allow us to see that everything that happens in our lives as miraculous. I want to share a second story. In addition to the story about the merchant of vodka, there was once a king who had, by the way, the story was related by the Kuznetzer Maggid. Lived in the 17th and 18th century. He was a Talmud of the Maggid and the Veli Melech of Lizhensk, and he was a great tzaddik. And he related the story. There was once a king who had a ring of his that went missing. And this ring was very precious. It had a certain diamond on it which you can't get anywhere else. It was very rare and very, very expensive. And it went missing. So, of course, there's panic. And everyone's going crazy. And everyone's accusing everyone. And no one, what happened to it? But no one could find it. So the king, he sent out a message all over the capital. Anyone that finds my ring is going to be rewarded. King is missing his ring. It's very precious. He needs it. Anyone that finds it is going to be rewarded. So there's a Yid who was living in that capital. He used to be a wealthy man. And one of the things that he would do is every Yom Tov, he would have a tremendous meal. He had a lot of guests that would come over, and it was a beautiful Seder, and a second Seder, and then meals throughout the holiday. And everyone became accustomed to coming to his house and having Pesach. And one year, this year, he was having a difficult time. Things in business didn't really go so well, and what he hoped for didn't work out, and he lost money here and lost money there, and it's getting closer to Pesach, and he doesn't have means. So he's thinking to himself, how am I going to make this work? Then he sees a sign. The king lost his ring. If you find the ring, he says, maybe I'll find the ring and I'll... Then he has an idea. He goes to the palace and he says, I'd like to search for the king's ring, but I need to have some money in advance because I have a team that's going to go searching. I have certain ways how I look. We need different types of torches that we use and times of the day and various investigations. So if the king could give me an advance of 1,000 rubles, I could make this happen. So sure, if you think you could do it, but don't play any games here. He says, no, what kind of games? I'm an expert. I'm an investigator. In general, I could do this. And he gets from the king 1,000 rubles. Perfect. He goes straight to the marketplace. He's buying fruits and vegetables. He goes to the wine merchant and he gets wine and grape juice for Pesach. And he gets matzah. And then he goes to the butcher, he gets chicken and meat. And it's amazing. The wagons are coming to his house. And people were wondering, are we going to have Pesach this year there or not? We already lost money. Everything is great. Everything is prepared. He's not looking for nothing. Anyway, it gets closer to Pesach. The king does not find his ring. He doesn't appear. And this year, he's on his way. Anyways, he comes to the Pesach. He sits down by the Seder. And there's a whole crowd there. And everyone's happy. And everyone's elated. And his children are wearing new clothing. And it's beautiful. The king is talking to his advisor. He says, what's with the ring? Are we ever going to find this ring? He says, well, you have this Jew who you gave money to, probably. I mean, is he looking for it? What's the deal with him? So he says, well, let's go find out. Let's take a stroll through the capital. Let's pass by his house. And let's see if, good morning, and let's see if maybe what's the deal? They go by his house. And as they get closer, his house is well lit. Something going on. So he comes to the window, and the king is peeking in with the advisor into the window. And he sees everyone sitting around the table, a lot of guests. And they're singing, Dai Dayenu, Dai Dayenu. They're singing Dayenu. So what's going on here? Middle of the night, Dayenu. So, 1 second, Dayenu. That's my minister, Dayenu. Whoa, 1 second. So he did find the ring. Dayenu took it. He's probably waiting till the morning to tell me. Tells his advisor, let's go. He gets the royal guard. He goes straight to Dayenu's residence. He gets in. He wakes him up. And they find on his neck, he's sleeping with a ring hanging from his necklace. The king is amazed, and he's unbelievable. They punish the guy, they lock him up. He confesses, I took it, I couldn't contain myself, I found it, I kept it, I stole it. They get to, it comes in the morning, and the king summons this Jew. He's shaking. He's walking to the palace. He's shaking. And the king sees him. I want to reward you for finding the ring, and thanks to you, I don't know how you did it and what you did, but we got it. And obviously, he rewarded him much more than just the advance that he had to give him. The difference between the first story, and I want to say a third one soon, and the second story is, the first story is a person who believes in the bracha of the tzaddik. The tzaddik told him, don't worry, the wine's, it's not about to get water. It'll work out. And he goes, and he has such confidence, such belief, that he says, drink the water, drink taste the barrel, you'll see that it's water. Okay, and then again, when it gets into water, he wants vodka so he can sell it. He says, taste it, and it goes back. It's amazing. The second level, he's trying to do something on his own. He needs the means to make Pesach. He doesn't have. So he's trying to put in some kind of effort. Maybe I'll try to do something for the king. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. Obviously, it's a major leap of faith. But he's doing something within nature where he says, I'm going to try to make this happen. Then there's a third story. Third story is about a governor, a landlord. Back in the day, the Jewish people were not allowed by law to own land, especially in Poland, parts of Ukraine. So what they would do is they would rent or lease an inn from a local governor, and they would sell liquor or have a little hotel going on and make a living. Now, this particular governor, landlord, calls in the Jew one day. He says, listen, Jew, thanks to me, you have a living. I'm your provider. If not for me, you and your family would have nothing to eat. I'm your source of money, of income. Jew looks at him, he says, I appreciate everything you do, but I have to tell you that God is the provider. And really, God is the one that gives me money. And all my resources come from him. And even if you wouldn't give me an inn or a job or anything, God will still provide for me. He was fuming. I mean, this governor, this landlord, it's not what he wanted to hear. He threw the Jew out and he said, "You're fired, and you have no right to sell anything. You can't host anything. You can't run your hotel. Over." Okay, so he's stuck. He's in this inn, and he's just counting the days, and it's getting closer to Pesach, and he needs to be able to. Any family, especially if he hasn't been working for a long time, and what's going to be. Meanwhile, in the mansion of the governor, the king, the what's his name, the landlord, we'll call him let's call him the governor. The governor was in his room, and he takes out a chest of gold coins, and he says, he's talking. Let me count the coins, and he counts the coins, and every once in a while he bites on a coin to make sure that it's actually real. And next to him is his pet monkey. Okay. He's doing the coins and he counts how many he has. It's a big treasure chest. He puts it back in and puts it under the bed. And he walks out. The monkey goes under the bed, pulls out the chest, and starts to eat the coins. He's doing what his boss did, biting them. He's throwing them in his mouth. But he's not biting them. He's actually swallowing them. And kicks the chest back under the bed and walks around. A little while later, this monkey collapsed. He died. The landlord, this governor, turns to his servant and says, "My pet monkey is dead. Terrible. Do me a favor. Throw that monkey into the Jew's window. Let's teach him a lesson. He thinks God provides. Throw him in." They're sitting around. It's one evening. And all of a sudden, there's a big clash. There's a pogrom. What's going on? They come running to the window, and they see there's a dead monkey thrown in. But next to the dead monkey, there's coins coming out of its mouth. Okay, they threw the monkey into the window. It fell out, and it was great. He took all the coins and everything. And he made Pesach. Middle of Pesach, the landlord, this governor, decides, the baron, let's go find out. How is my Jew doing? Maybe he learned his lesson yet, that I'm the provider. He's making a living here without me. And he passes by his place, and he sees it's amazing. They're sitting there, there's candles, there's celebration, He walks inside, he says, "Are you running your inn without permission?" I said, "You can't sell any liquor. What's going on?" He says, "No, I'm not doing anything. God provided." You'll never believe what happened. Some monkey came crashing into my window with coins out of its mouth. When the baron heard that, he said, "I have to admit, God is the provider." And he reinstated everything and let him do so. This story, the third one, is different. This story is showing a person who just has complete faith in God. He didn't even do anything. He didn't go to the tzaddik, and the tzaddik said, "If you're going to drink this, you'll see that it's not going to be vodka, it's going to be water." Or the second case where the person says, right, he's doing his part and trying to do something. He'll go to the king, he'll ask for an advance, and so on. He's doing something. This is complete. God help me. I don't even know what to try with. That's the difference between Tishrei and Nisan. Tishrei is the natural order of things, where it's the beginning of the year in the sense of the seasonal year, which works with a process. You do the right things, you get the right results, things work out. Hashem created the world that way. Nisan tells us that even when we do those natural things, we have a higher connection. We're working in a miraculous way. Even within nature, we recognize that Hashem is with us, Hashem is helping us, Hashem is guiding us. So as we start this month of Nisan tonight, which is the festival of our freedom, which is Man Cheruseinu, one of the ways to really achieve freedom is to recognize that everything that we have comes from Hashem. And even the things that we feel that there are efforts, and they're the way that Hashem created the system, we have to do our parts, even that's Hashem. When a person recognizes that Hashem is the one that's guiding him, helping him, and you're never alone, that's the truly liberating feeling. And that's truly the message when you want to get to the month of Nisan and to Pesach, and we're coming to feel freedom. We have to see miracles in our lives. We have to recognize that Hashem is here, even in the areas which are not super miraculous and not supernatural. Even there, Hashem is with us, and it is miraculous, and He is guiding us every step of our way. May we have a good Chodesh and a good Shabbos and all the very good things.
Amen. Thank you for that, Lisa. Shabbat Shalom.